Greetings and welcome to the Health Studies Collegium 5 Keys to Restoring Health webinar. My name is Russell Jaffe. I'm an internist, a clinical nutritionist, a clinical allergist and immunologist, and I maintain a fellow status in the Royal Society of Medicine. I'm a senior fellow at the Health Studies Collegium Foundation and founder and chairman of PIRC Integrative Health, HAQ Biotechnologies, and RMJHRX. In this particular episode, we will look at the 5 keys, the paths to better health. We call this the alkaline way. 5 strategies to thrive. In another discussion, we look at measuring immune system tolerance and delayed food allergies and inflammatory triggers. In this presentation, we'll focus on the HAQ, the Health Appraisal Questionnaire, and health assessments to improve outcomes. In other presentations, we'll look at personalized supplementation, removing undesirable toxins, and healing through mind and body practices. Now, what about these health assessment protocols? What about this second of 5 paths to better health? Well, we've developed a health assessment questionnaire. This is a personalized set of recommendations based on information the individual provides, and this then allows the laboratory to complement the results of the cell culture with targeted supplementation, activity and environmental recommendations, options for a rotation diet, and access to the Joy in Living the Alkaline Way guide. So this health assessment questionnaire does provide priority supplements, the foundational PIRC products, and then secondary supplements, those that are beneficial and can be added later on after a month or so, and specific behavioral and lifestyle recommendations that are helpful to achieve more comprehensive outcomes and results. Now, with regard to the health assessment questionnaire and the priority supplements, they include PIRC LifeGuard, a super multi with 40 active constituents in meaningful amounts. Includes PIRC Potent C Guard, 100% L fully buffered and reduced ascorbates. It includes PIRC Mag Plus Guard and PIRC Choline Citrate to address magnesium deficits, metabolic acidosis, choline deficiencies, citrate energy deficiencies. And so when we combine the high-sensitivity lymphocyte response assay results, the LRA by ELISA ACT test results, in a personalized report, we can identify what people are tolerant to, what they react against, what's burdening their immune system, what's inhibiting repair and promoting inflammation, what's persisting chronic ill health, what are providing barriers to recovery. In addition, we might want to look at the GI transit time, the gastrointestinal transit time. This is the time from consumption to elimination. So the GI transit time measures intake to output. We recommend doing this with activated charcoal, 2 capsules for every 50 pounds of weight. So this would mean 6 to 12 capsules, or 1.5 to 3 grams, with 8 ounces of water in between a meal, noting the time. And when the black crumbly stuff comes out the other side, the transit time assessment is complete. The goal is 12 to 18 hours, but it is now typical in America for people to have a 72 to 144-hour transit time. That means 3 to 7 days from consumption to elimination, rather than the preferable what we have for dinner should be coming out the next morning. And as you see on the right, we have a write-up at the Health Studies Collegium of the transit time assessment, and you're welcome to make use of that. To review the GI transit time, average is now 36 to 144 or more hours. This allows toxins to be reabsorbed, toxins like cadaverine and putrescine and other quaternary amines. A long transit time tends to drain metabolism. And a long transit time is associated with chronic gastrointestinal and or systemic illnesses. So a transit time that is healthier is 12 to 18 hours. And there's also on the other side a short bowel syndrome where the transit time is less than 10 hours, and this does not allow enough time to digest, assimilate, and eliminate the food properly. And so malnutrition, malabsorption, short bowel syndrome are very common in those who have an excessively short transit time. To review the GI transit time measurement, we use activated charcoal, 6 to 12 capsules, 1.5 to 3 grams of that charcoal with 8 ounces of water between meals. If you are, for example, less than 150 pounds, you would take 6 capsules, 150 to 200 pounds, 8 capsules, 200 to 250 pounds, 10 capsules, more than 250 pounds, 12 capsules. Now let's move on to the next assessment, which is the C-cleanse, also known as the ascorbate calibration. This determines individual ascorbate based on their ascorbate need based on individual oxidative stress levels. And here we recommend the ascorbate calibration plus or minus probiotics, recycled glutamine, magnesium, and polyphenolics. In healthy people, we recommend 1.5 grams or half a teaspoon every 15 minutes, 6 grams in an hour, and healthy people will tend to cleanse in 1 to 2 hours. If you're moderately ill, we recommend 3 grams or 1 teaspoon every 15 minutes, that's 12 grams an hour. And most people with moderate illness will cleanse within an hour or 2. For chronic ill health, we recommend 2 teaspoons or 6 grams every 15 minutes, 24 grams an hour, and most people will cleanse within an hour or 2. However, when we asked for self-reports, we found that healthy people would calibrate on less than 4 grams. You see that in the yellow cone. People with minimal symptoms would calibrate 5 to 10 grams. That's the orange cone. The green distribution are the typical people you see in the clinic. There it takes 10 to 120 grams, and about 1 in 20 people will need more than 120 grams in order to cleanse. Another important assessment is about metabolic acidosis, and we use the first AM urine pH as that indicator. Here we see a picture of Julian Seifter, who writes the chapter on metabolic acidosis in Harrison's Textbook of Medicine and has published in the New England Journal of Medicine. And after 6 or more hours of rest, we find that the urine fluid equilibrates with the GU, the genitourinary tract lining cells, and this becomes now a clinically useful assessment of metabolic acidosis risk and intracellular mineral, that's mostly potassium and magnesium, status. So what we want to do is if the urine after 6 hours of rest is measured, the goal value for the pH is 6.5 to 7.5. If you're more acidic, you'll have a lower pH. A pH less than 6.5 is too acidic, and excess metabolic acids will wear you out. So chronic cellular metabolic acidosis, potassium and magnesium deficiency inside of cells, an excess of acid inside of cells with a loss of the proton gradient and a progressive decrease in mitochondrial function. Now, healthy people show a moderate pH, healthy goal pH range of 6.5 to 7.5. This means that on any given day they might have a little net acid excess to clear and concentrate in the urine, but most of the time they have enough minerals to protect the cells and the kidney. And then there's a condition of catabolic illness where you're cannibalizing amino acids and proteins for energy. Why? Because other sources of energy are not available. In catabolic illness, your urine will be too alkaline because of ammonia wasting into the urine, and the pH will be above 7.5 consistently. So the first urine, after more than 6 hours of rest, equilibrates with the lining cells. It's a non-invasive measure of cellular metabolic acidosis, and we recommend this as part of the assessment of the individual so that they can, from day to day, look at their need for alkaline-forming foods and supplements. With regard to alkaline whey foods and supplements, we recommend more alkaline foods. 80% of the diet should be, in this case, from the right, the more alkaline side of the food choices, and 20% from the left. This is during recovery. For healthy people, 60% alkaline, 40% acid is quite okay in terms of alkaline acid balance. And this was recently published in The Alkaline Way into Digestive Health in Watson's textbook on bioactive food as dietary interventions in liver and gastrointestinal disease by Academic Press. So we've been talking about biomarkers and particularly predictive biomarkers, and here we suggest that a predictive biological marker is a specific subcategory of analytic observations, that is an objective indication of the medical state from outside the person that can be measured accurately and reproducibly while predicting 10-year survival and quality of life. The 4 biomarkers that fully qualify are hemoglobin A1C, HSCRP, homocysteine, and lymphocyte response assay, and we recommend, as you see on the left, the high sensitivity or high precision version, the HS hemoglobin A1C, the HSCRP, the HSHCY, and the HSLRA. And now if we look across from the top, we see hemoglobin A1C. It measures sugar, insulin, and energy efficiency with a goal of less than 5%. In regard to HSCRP, this measures repair status, inflammation, which is really repair deficit, in relation to immune defense and repair efficiency, and the goal is less than 0.5 milligrams per liter. In regard to homocysteine, this is important for detoxification, for epigenetic methylation, for translation, and it's based on sulfur metabolism with the goal of less than 6 micromoles at a time when methionine is high. And in regard to the lymphocyte response assay, the high sensitivity LRA, it's a measure of immune memory and repair tolerance, and we have the goal of no delayed reactions, the immune system being fully functional, tolerant in a high repair and minimal defense mode. Now, there are also 4 candidate predictive biomarker tests that we recommend. This is the first AM urine pH. It's an assessment of mineral need and cell acidosis risk with a goal of 6.5 to 7.5 for the pH. Then we recommend vitamin D, the 25-hydroxycholecalciferol. This is a measure of vitamin D, which is really a neurohormone. It tells cells that they can stop dividing if there are enough of them, and if we need more, that the cells should proliferate up to a healthy level with a goal range of 50 to 80 nanograms per ml. And then there's the omega-3 index with a goal of having more than 8% EPA and DHA in membranes. And finally, the 8th of the predictive biomarker test, the 8-oxoguanine. It's a measure of oxidative stress and antioxidant status in the nucleus with a goal of less than 5 nanograms per milligram creatinine. Here you see all 8 simply arrayed, and we compare and contrast the normal or usual ranges laboratories offer you, statistically based, in contrast to the healthier outcome, better long and short-term results, the predictive goal values that we recommend. Now, in regard to lifetime health, 92% is epigenetic, as you see in the lower left of this slide. And genes expression is modified, modulated, changed based on epigenetic influences. And these epigenetic influences are the choices we make about what we eat and drink, what we think and do. While 8% is genetic, 92% of short and long-term quality of life and overall health is epigenetic, is choice. When we employ these predictive biomarkers, we see upstream early indications of resilience or risk. Where there's risk, we can reduce it. Where there's resilience, we can reassure people. And this is even before subclinical disease, before the tertiary prevention that's common today, certainly long before, years to decades before chronic disease. So we find these predictive biomarkers useful in prospect, but also in retrospect, because they are adaptive based on choices of what people eat and drink, think and do, and the long and short-term quality of life and health risk go together. So if we look at the 8 predictive biomarkers, starting from the top left, we see in the green the hemoglobin A1C, coming around clockwise, the HSCRP, then homocysteine, then LRA by ELISA ACT, then first morning urine pH, vitamin D, omega-3 index, and 8-oxoguanine, 4 confirmed and 4 candidate biomarkers that measure the 92% of lifetime health that we can influence. So the 5 key strategies in practice are the WellGuard program. They employ LRA tests, health assessment questionnaires, HAQs, an emphasis on removing excess and damaging toxins, while at the same time restoring and rebuilding with targeted supplementation based on individual needs for those nutrients, and all in all, an alkaline way, lifestyle and diet. That what we eat and drink, think and do does matter, and it's up to us to implement the better ways. So getting started, if you need to open an account, please call 1-800-553-5472 or visit www.elisaact, that's ELISAACT.com/new-account-set-up-form/. And if you already have an account with PERC or ELISaact Biotechnologies, let your account specialist know or give us a call at any of the toll-free numbers that we maintain. So we've looked at 5 keys to restoring health. This has been Health Studies Collegium Foundation. It's been my pleasure, Russ Jaffe, to present this webinar. May we all be well and happy, based on the WellGuard program and the choices of what we eat and drink, think and do. Thank you.